See, that's not perfect. That's what I was trying to say. Like, we don't want to be just going to be the easiest to just so we have
Also, there's some photography and video. Sweet! Welcome everyone to another week of Ōtara 4.0. I am your host, one of your hosts today. My name is Jess.
Kia ora guys, my name is TJ.
Yes, and we're very grateful for you guys to be here. Talo falava, malolele, kia orana, whakalokole atu, warm Pacific greetings, sub G, sub doc, sub us, and any other ones that I seem to have forgotten today. Also, happy Samoan language. Yeah. So if you're plastic like me, just remember it's never too late to learn your mother tongue, and yeah, try to say as much Samoan as you can before the end of the week, and even past the end of the week. Samoan language week doesn't mean we stop next week, right?
Always, every week.
Sweet. So, welcome to another week of Ōtara 4.0. Thank you for coming through, and also for those who are streaming in from home or work on the road, wherever you may be. Ōtara 4.0 is a collection of after-school Talanoa sessions with Māori and Pasifika in the creative tech sector. Now, Māori Pasifika only make up 2% of the creative tech sector, but we're all hoping we can change that with some of the talks that happen over the coming weeks to inspire the next generation who, some are here, some are on their way, to take up that mantle in the creative tech industry. Ōtara 4.0 is also brought to you by Media Design School, the Hillary House, and also IMS Arts. Now, before I continue today, I just want to give you guys a little bit of house rules. The closest toilet, actually, if you need to use the toilet is located down the hall where you came from, straight ahead over there. It's actually not the closest toilet. The closest toilet is right behind this door. But if anyone in here is brave enough to use that while we're all facing this way, I wish I had your confidence. You know, we're all listening and we're just gonna act like nothing's happening. In the unlikely event of a fire, the exit is also back where you guys came from, down the stairs, out the door. Not that way, that is a balcony. If you go that way, we will pray for you from downstairs. Yeah, and sweet. There's no other way to start most Pacifica stuff unless it's worth, we start with a local. I'd like to invite, actually we'll just welcome everyone. Please take a seat.
There is a free seat. We also have a front row, yo.
You know what they say, the front row is where the learning happens. I wish I sat in the front row. Sweet, but I'd also like to take this time to call up our brother Anaua, who will open us up in a little local before we continue. Yes.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this time here together with our youth and also parents and staff, faculty, and industry representatives. We're thankful for this time that we have to have this hour of power so that we can be enlightened and uplifted, and also that we can acknowledge the potential of our young people as they go consider tech as an option for their careers. Bless us now as we open up this afternoon, and we enjoy ourselves in the Spirit with us. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, boys, for coming on time.
Check. Sweet. Welcome to Tonga, fashionable late as always. Oh, good. Sub TC. I'm just gonna hand it over to the broski TJ, and he's gonna shout into the mic and make you laugh.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to. Hello, everyone. Yeah, we are in a confined space, and we are streaming now. So I'm a bit nervous, please. I'm quite a shy guy, to be honest. Very shy. But yes, we are going to just warm up, just so we're all just a little bit, just a little bit clear of each other. Why is no one making eye contact with me? Damn. Am I that scary looking, man? Come on, man. Nah. But yeah, just to start off, I would just get everyone to take a big, deep breath in and out, but up. We don't want to smell bad breath and like COVID, we're not trying to spread that. So one more time, in and out. Out there. Oh, man. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we'll do one more time. We must breathe in.
Breathe in. Shut, bro.
And now, thank you guys, thank you. You are blessing me all with your nice, nutty, fresh something. Sweet. So, with this game, we're just gonna play a little simple, easy game. It's gonna kind of go in a snake way, all the way throughout the crowd, you know? Just so everyone gets involved, you know, everyone's a bit participating. If you guys are all good with that, yeah? Can I get a thumbs up if you guys are okay to participate? Yes, please. Sorry, and if you don't put your thumbs up, you shouldn't have come, bros, because you have to do it anyway. Okay, sweet. So the game we are going to play is One Smart Fella, okay? So, with this game, all I need you guys to do is tap on your legs, and we're just gonna keep a beat like this, okay? So how this game works is we're gonna try and make it, we'll try to, hold on with you guys, we're gonna try to make it through the whole crowd playing this game. And this is how it goes. So, it'll be like, one smart fella, check it out, woo! Two smart fellas, check it out, woo, woo! Three smart fellas, three smart fellas, check it out. So pretty much the aim of the game, So it's pretty much just addition, you know? Simple mathematics, you like film maths, but it's okay, it is okay, yeah, you know what it is. So, all it is we're starting from you, if that's okay. I can definitely start here, but it's gonna come to you anyways, if that's all good. Yeah, all good? Oh, what is your name, by the way, bro? Can we get a round of applause for Jay, please? Yes, man. He's gonna be starting us off on this game. Yeah, thank you, very honest, man. But yeah, so pretty much what it is, it's just one smart fella, check it out, woo! And then it's two smart fellas, check it out, woo! Woo! So you're just doubling it, and then you're tripling it. Yes, definitely. I'll invite these guys to come in.
They feel like they're going to get down with the smart.
It's okay, it's okay. We'll keep that tomorrow. I did not forget about you. I know you guys are here. But I'm going to save these guys for last once the snake goes on. Only because I have faith that we can make it through the whole crowd. Yes? Put your thumbs up if you have faith in the crowd, including, All right? How many of these? Oh, I don't know about that. But I believe in you guys. So hopefully that's enough, yeah? Is everybody ready? So if you don't understand the game or have any questions, please raise them now or forever hold your peace. No? Yes? No, sorry. I did say, if you want to pass, the door's right now. But no, honest, we're really, like they say, you know, in uncomfortable spaces we grow, you know. So hopefully with the space that we have now, we can uplift each other, because you're not alone, remember, you're in a whole crowd. I'm kind of the alone one, because I'm at the front talking to you guys. Like I said, I'm a shy guy. But yes, we are going to participate. We are going to uplift each other, and let's sound one language. Come on. We are a communal culture, you know. So we do this all together, yeah? Yeah, can I get a yeah? Yeah. Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah. Let's go, sweet. But yes, are there any other questions? No? Do you guys think, I have faith, man. We can definitely do this. And if not, it's okay. Because we're tired on time anyway, so. Okay, sweet. I guess we'll just start that B, yeah? Okay, come on. My name is TJ and I like it now. How are you, Jay? Check it out. Woo! Okay, we'll start one more time. Sorry, Jay. Do you think you can do this for us? I'm sorry. Yeah, we got it. Check it out. Woo! Smart fellas. Check it out. Check it out. Smart fellas. Very smart. Check it out. Let's check it out. Woo! Four smart fellas. Check it out. Better make it. Four smart fellas. Check it out. Check it out. Woo!
Let's do it! Come on!
Five. Check it out.
5-star colors.
But yeah, like I said at the start, man, we kind of grew a little bit, you know, together, guys. Yeah, everyone's kind of having a mad face, but it's okay. You should let him come, because this is my job. So. But nah, yeah. How much time do we have left? One more game, yeah.
Pause it there.
Easy. Well, yes. Thanks again. That was me, TJ, and I guess I'll just pass it back to Jesse.
Sharp,
That was cool. I know you're saying, you know, we're building people up, but I just gotta say, some of you guys have been brother me. They say Southside's where the rappers come from. Yes, that was a lie. But yes, okay. I hope everyone's all warmed up. You guys warmed up your bodies, your minds. Please warm up your ears as we welcome our speakers for today, representing our newfound Aina from the Digital Arts Network. Everyone give a round of applause for our speakers for today.
Tēnā koutou katoa. My name is David Parkinson. I have the, is this the COVID cup? Yeah, we're taking the COVID from the same place. Are you all right? So thank you very much for coming along today. Hopefully we can share some wisdom. Well, they will. I probably won't share any wisdom at all, but these women I work with are amazing women. We've been working with Media Design School for the past year or so. And I'll tell you a little bit about Digital Arts Network, what we do. And then I think we'll talk a little bit about how I got into this industry. There's so many different diverse and unique ways that you can come into creative technology. Noah and Hulu will also share that. So first things first, we've got to unlock the computer. This is part of technology that we're just figuring out. We can all look at password now. Here we go. Kia ora, there it is. Digital Arts Network. So they call me Dave from Dan. And it gets very confusing when I'm talking to clients because often at the end of it, they just start calling me Dan, and then I get emails calling me Dan. And so I try and call it Digital Arts Network. What we do, so we are part of a global network. So although we're here down in little old New Zealand in Auckland, and there's a little whānau that we call the Dan fam, we're actually part of a huge organization. This organization is a media, a comms, a design, a consulting company that has something around 60,000 people working for it. We live in one little branch called TBWA, which is a creative agency. And in that branch, there are 70 studios around the globe. And there are about 14,000 people. And then you zoom down to New Zealand, where we're TBWA, which is the creative agency, and Digital Arts Network, which is the center of excellence for experience design across that huge global network. So although we're small and we're way down the bottom of the world, if we tip the world upside down, we're actually at the top, and we service that whole organization. So they come and knock in if they've got a client that needs something experiential created on the web, in an app, even just to change the way their business works a little bit. So they get a new product or a new service, and they have to design the way that the interactions of people flow through that business. They'll give us a call, and we'll have a chat to them, and then we'll charge a bit of money, and away we go. So I'll go to the next slide. We've got our whānau, so we've got a bunch of talented designers. That's the first thing. So our wonderful head of design created this imagery for us. So I think that took her about 2 minutes. She's an incredible drawer. I'm not. I can't draw to save my life. Even if I can't even do a stick figure. So I don't know. Again, design. Why am I here? I'll tell you the story. You'll probably quite enjoy it. Can you pick me up? No. Interesting. I'm looking. That's Hux. This guy's from the UK. So, and he's actually in the UK at the moment. So that's Hux. That's not me. Can you?
The one without the glasses.
The one, yeah. So if I took this off and I go a little bit like this with my nose, nutty dungy nui nose. There it is. My beard was a bit shorter. My shoulders were a bit, but see, you can see my little man bun. Oh. Little
Oh.
bit of hair there, right? Bit of hair. So maybe now.
Yeah.
And hold on 1 second. I've got to put the vest on. You see, this is a trademark vest. The hair and the nose now. Okay. I got the glasses so I can see that because I'm old and blind. Anaua, can you see Anaua there?
Right over here.
Top right.
No.
Close.
The pregnant lady.
The pregnant lady.
No.
I think you got to put your hair up and on.
I have to put my hair up, but that's actually.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
And you've already, I think you've, Hulu's the last one. You can see Hulu?
Top right.
Top right.
Top right, that's it. So that's Hulu. So these are, this is what I call the United Nations of Design. So if I go through here, we've got South Africa. Oh, I should learn the password. But we've got people from all around the world that work for Digital Arts Network. And interestingly enough, we've got people from New Zealand that are all around the world working for Digital Arts Network as well. So that's kind of choice. So South Africa, Germany, New Zealand, South Africa, New Zealand, England, Brazil, England, New Zealand. Is that Heidi? New Zealand?
Yeah.
Who's this sad guy? Maybe you might not work here anymore. Only smiles only, eh? Otherwise you're gone. So a little bit about how I got to Digital Arts Network. So I'm the managing director of Digital Arts Network. So I'm like El Jefe, you know, I'm sitting at the top of the pile. And I turned up back in New Zealand 3 years ago. So my story is a strange one for getting into this type of work. So when I left school, I went to university. I was the first person in my family on either side to actually go to university. So that was pretty exciting. But I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I just went along, found my friends, asked them what they were going to do because they probably plotted a course a little bit more than I did. And so I turned up at university and I said, I'd like to go to engineering because my best mate Daryl's going to engineering. And they said, oh, your grades aren't good enough. And I was like, oh, bummer. How can I get in this course? So he said to me, hey, there's a program for Māori students. You should go and check that out. I was like, oh, okay, that'd be a good idea. So I went along to the building. My mate Daryl came with me. We sat down. And the liaison officer walked out and she walked up to Daryl and she said, kia ora, bro, welcome to university. How can we help you? And he sat next to me and goes, this is the Māori fella here. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that's interesting. Had a wee chat and I thought, you know what? I probably don't need this help. This course and this program that's set up for people that probably haven't come from a nice middle class background, whose parents probably don't both have good jobs. I probably should just do it the right way, do it the hard way, go into a course that I qualify for and work hard. So that was the first thing I decided to do, was just go and do a course that would help me help myself. And at the time, there was this thing called the internet. And it had just started, so I'm real old. It was 1991, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do computer science because my grades were good enough to do computer science. So I had to do other things as well. So I did Māori studies, I did a bit of philosophy, I did some physics, but the whole idea was like get into these computers because I think computers are going to be an amazing thing to learn because eventually they're going to take over the world. I was such a prophet. I knew what was going to happen. I didn't really, but I just thought they were really, really interesting. So I started doing computer science and I got through to my third year and I just couldn't understand why everyone at university, and it's the same, probably, I don't know what you guys do in school, but you find a real smart one and you stand next to them and say, hey, how do you finish that program off? And they go, oh, you just do it like this. And you go, okay, cool, we'll just do it like that. And what happened was everyone was kind of just doing what everyone else was doing. So there were all these bright people that were doing could have been doing all these wonderful things, but what they were just doing is following the rules and copying each other. And I went to the lecturer and I said, I think we could be doing this slightly better. I think if you could break up the class into a whole bunch of little groups, go out into the world and find real business problems to solve, and bring them back to university, and we could all crack those problems, and then you could sell it out there. And they were like, you're crazy. And I went, okay, I'm out of here. So I left. I dropped out of university, and I started working in a bar, which was fun. I was of age. Started working in a bar, and then everyone started getting these nice jobs, and I was like, oh, that hasn't really worked out for me. I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll go overseas, because there's probably more opportunity overseas. So I took off overseas, and there were a heap of opportunities. And I actually ended up back in computing. So I turned up in the UK, hooked up with a friend of mine who had gone through university, done all the right stuff, and she said to me, hey, I can hook you up a job doing some computer testing. And I did that, and I kept doing that, and I got the next job, and I got the next job, and I get the next job. And then 15 years later, I'm the CIO of a company called General Electric. I'm the CIO of the oil and gas division across Australia and New Zealand. So, like I said, there's lots and lots of different ways into this. When I got to, and we'll talk a few more about the slides, but when I got to that role, I had this calling to come back home, because no matter what happens overseas and all the fun you're having, you've got your whakapapa, you've got your Tuinukuafe, you've got your whānau, you've got your family connections that you like draw you back in. And my mum got sick, and I thought, you know what, this is a good time to cut and run, get back home and help her out, bring my kids back home, because they were these New Zealanders that were living in Australia. Terrible thing for these poor children to grow up there. Beautiful New Zealand children growing up in Australia, so felt sorry for them, and we came back. After we came back, I thought, you know what, I need to get a job in New Zealand, and I need to do something maybe that's a little different. And that's when this creative technology opportunity opened up for me. And when I look down this thing here, all these things that I had seen done, that I could see here, virtual reality, creative tech, motion design, UX and UI, graphic design, artificial intelligence, these are all things that I'd worked in and I'd done on different applications, right? So I'd done it for oil and gas, I'd done it for banking, I'd done it for aviation, I'd done it for energy, I'd done it for, what other things were, banking was probably the biggest one, and it was quite boring. And I figured, wouldn't it be amazing if I could apply the things that I'd learned over the last 20 years while I was cruising around learning all this stuff to a creative industry, because they're really interesting people that work in creativity. So I started talking to people in New Zealand, and I just figured out, hey, you know what? There's a company called TBWA. There's some really good people there. That's the place where I'm going to come and bring some of my industry expertise into that organization. And we'll go to the next slide, because I think Hulu, you could talk a little bit about this, but one thing that I really liked about Digital Arts Network when I arrived was that we had a lot of talented people that weren't technology focused. And that might seem interesting or strange because we're talking about technology today, but the way that we look at technology at Digital Arts Network is from the humans, not from the tech itself, but from the people that use the tech and how they interact and work in with the technology. And at Digital Arts Network, we've always been proud of being able to find new technology and help humans interact with it in a positive way. And so design was a really important part of building that whole technology ecosystem, because you can have all of the greatest AI and all of the greatest virtual reality, but if you don't understand the design, if you don't understand how people want to interact with it and what's going to drive them to want to use that technology, well, then the technology is useless. So I was really excited when I met Hulu, who was a young designer in our organization, and she told me that a bit of her story and how she got around to coming to digital arts. And she sort of showed me, I think you showed me more than anything else, how design can really impact the way that people use technology. Should we go? Should we go to the next slide? We can go to the next slide. No, just promise we'll go. I think, Hulu, do you want to come and talk about this piece of work? And maybe after you've talked about this piece of work, after you talk about this work, you can talk about your way into digital arts.
Hello everybody, I'm Hulu. So this is a project that I worked on with a few of my coworkers. So this one is called Polly, and we were lucky enough to have an American insurance company. So they were a new startup company, and they were originally called Tuinukuafe, but they wanted to rebrand themselves, and so they reached out to TBWA in LA as their client to help rebrand their company. And TBWA LA created this whole new brand, which was like blue, red, white, pretty much American colors, and used it to name them Polly. Because the team from LA had asked for our help, it meant that we were working with a lot of international people. So as you can see on the map, this is us here in the UX space. So we did all the design stuff, and we have a few devs here, here, and here. And our clients are in the US.
In Oregon in the US.
Yes, and then copy was also from LA. So I worked alongside a brilliant strategist, Nicole. She helped create the IA, which is the information architecture. And she pretty much told us how we should design the website, the way that it should be laid out, and make it easy for people to find information on the website. What Bruno and I, Bruno is another designer, we had to figure out what the website would look like, because basically we got this logo. That was the only asset we got from the client, and we pretty much had to create something out of that. So we went through a lot of design iterations to get to this point. So this was the end product. And
I think one of the I think one of the important things when Hulu is working, so as a designer, we have a
it's not on. Is it on?
Too long?
Hello. Oh, it's Peter. Wow.
So as a designer, you know, literally, Hulu was given this letter P. There it is. Build me a website. Build me a website, please. And that can be challenging because we're like, well, what does your business do? Oh, we sell insurance. Okay. Cool. Now I've got a letter, and I know you sell insurance. Build me a website. No, we can't do that. So who do you sell insurance to? What type of insurances? So we have someone called a strategist that asks all those questions as well. And it's not that we don't let Hulu ask those questions, because she asks those questions as well. But what we need to do is there's a pairing between someone that can draw, which I can't, so I need someone that can, and someone that can ask questions to figure out what content, what structure, and what the use of this digital tool is going to be. So we need to ask questions like, okay, so in this website, are you going to enable customers to buy insurance? Well, that's a good thing to know if you're going to create a website, because now you're going to have a function that enables people to put their credit card in and put their names in and their addresses in. And then we say, well, when they put their name and address in, do you want to keep that name and address so you can talk to them later, so you can communicate to them, so that you could potentially sell them some more products and services? Oh, you do. Okay, so now we want more than a website. You need what they call a CRM, a customer relationship management system. So as you ask more and more questions, you get to understand the ecosystem, the where this business operates in the world, and all of the different bits that it needs to work. And then Hulu makes an amazing website. So then, you know, things like, you know, you can tell from this picture that guess what? They do car insurance, because there's a big car there. And that's what people like Hulu figure out, is like, hey, but do you know how long it took to get that car on that picture? because I think this is a good story. Can you, Hulu, do you remember how long it took to get that car on that picture?
A very long time. So like basically before it launched, we had to find some pictures that the client liked, and they didn't send us the pictures till like maybe the week before we were launching the website, and we had to buy it, and that took a long process as well. So it was a really long journey.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is when you've got a client and you show them what we call them assets. When you get all the lingo, it's taken me a while. I still call them pictures, but the professionals call them assets. When you get these assets here, what you do is you go to the client and you say, okay, we're going to have a white car, a black car, a blue car, a Mercedes, a BMW, a Lexus. You've got to go through and you show them, and they're like, I like that one. I like the Mercedes, but it's black. I want it white. And then you go back, you do another mock-up like this, you show them that one, they go, actually, you know what, the BMW would have been better, so can you swap out the BMW? So it, like, literally, to get that car on there is a 3-week process. And then once you find that car, then you have to go, who took the photo of that car? Oh, okay, it belongs to someone. Now I've got to go and buy that rights to use that on a website. So there's just so much that goes on when you think, oh, all we're doing is making a little website, we're going to put a picture of a car and draw a picture of a phone, should be all good. It's just this huge process that you've got to go through to get something looking as amazing as what this is. And you know what? As you can tell, this is an American client, so there's also a need for companies like ours to provide for them, because clearly in America they're not good enough to do this. They have to come all the way to Aotearoa to get that done. So we thank them for loving us that much. What's the next one we've got here? Next page. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, that's
Do you,
nice.
do you want to talk a little bit about this one?
Sure.
Go.
Sure.
Oh,
Do
Hulu.
you want to talk about how she got here?
Let's talk about how, let's go back to, sorry. Sorry.
That's
Oh, I'm off script.
Hello. So a little bit about myself. I'm Tomin. I'm 26 years old. I've been working at DAD for almost 3 years now. And I actually started off as an admin. So I was doing like all the paperwork, all the like stuff that you kind of don't really want to do. But it was like a foot in the door for me to get into design, which was what I really wanted to do. And I was learning from amazing people. All the things that I kind of need to learn before I got into my designer role. And I was thankful enough that Dave became my boss, because once he started, I told him, Dave, I need to become a designer. I've been working here for quite some time. Can you make it happen? And he said, yep, let's make you a designer. So I'm always appreciative to Dave, because he made my dream come true. But before I started working at visual arts, I kind of realized that I had a passion for digital media, and it kind of started in high school actually. So in high school there was media studies, and I did really well in media studies. Who else does media studies here? Yeah? Awesome. So I actually came top of my class, and so that was kind of like a sign for me to say like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I had to convince my parents that
His mum and
my
dad.
mum and dad at the back. I had to convince them that I wanted to do communication studies at AET. And they have a great program. So the first year you kind of like do advertising, TV and film, digital media. And digital media was kind of new. Like I didn't think it was an area that you could go into. But I really loved it. I was learning like 3D animation, web design, UX and UI, like all these fun things that I didn't realize you could do, and I didn't think it was a career. And yeah, so I continued to do digital media. I even decided to do my master's in digital media. That's how much I loved it. So
That's how smart she is.
yeah, and then I got a job at Digital Arts. So that's pretty nice. Yeah, that's my story. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. at the end of this presentation.
Can I- Oh, I just want to say one thing.
Get in there.
So I want to thank Hulu as well, because she was just very nice to me. But I think one of the lessons that I've learned from Hulu is, and all of you students here can take a leaf out of this woman's book, is you have to be bold. You have to be bold, and you have to, if you've got a passion, you have to follow that. So when I met Hulu, in fact, when I took the job at Digital Arts Network, I went and had a meeting with everyone. So I spent a half hour, or was it half hour, with every employee. And I sat down and I said, okay, so tell me your story. Who are you? What do you do? And in that coffee, we had a coffee catch up, and she said, I'm a designer. And I'm like, oh, because I'm pretty sure you ordered the groceries and you were doing the invoicing, and I don't know how much design's involved in that. And she goes, oh no, I'm a designer, but I work in the admin. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me about your design. She's like, well, I got my master's, and I'm like, okay, what? Okay, I'll do the grocery order, and I'll do the invoices, and you be a designer, because you're way more qualified to do this job than I am. And so I think the moral of that story is that, like, if you've got a passion and you've got something that you want to do, you got to tell people about it, because you can sit there quietly, not saying anything, and no one but you knows. So be bold, I think, is the moral of Hulu's story.
Awesome.
Speaking of bold,
Speaking of bold, bright colours here.
Yeah.
Before I actually jump into talking about this project, I'll talk about myself first. My name is Anaua, Tuihalagingie. I'm also Tongan too, like Hulu. I am actually from Maungele, precisely Maungele East. Actually raised there, went to Keshley Intermediate out there, Ōtara College. And I was actually telling Dave and Hulu when we drove up here, once upon a time in my journey to Digital Arts Network, I was actually doing my practicum to become a high school teacher at Hillary College. One day I was hoping to become an English teacher and media studies teacher as well, although we never offered media studies in Ōtara College, but that was certainly a passion of mine when I stepped into university. I'm the oldest of 10 million kids. 8, 9, 10, 10 million kids. I have a daughter, she is 12, so she is an intermediate and preparing to start high school next year. So when I started Ōtara College, I went to university, and I'm sure, like many of my age group, my parents, uni is the place to go for everyone. They didn't really see AUT as a place, nor did they see MIT. University of Auckland was the place. So really hard to get into uni. So I did a Bachelor of Arts with the hopes of going into film, actually, and that was kind of my passion at the time. I finished, and when I graduated, I actually passed on my degree to my that's your degree. I've done your bit, and now I'm going to do me. So I actually went, I'm going to AUT, and I actually picked up doing a postgrad in digital media too. Spent a year and a bit there. During that time, I think I was 25. That's when I felt pregnant, but still studied hard. I didn't let that be a reason for me to stop. So yes, I was wobbling around, doing my assignments, graduated, and then had my daughter, took a pause from working and just being a mom. And then, where did I go next? I'm just thinking about my journey right here. And that's where I was just trying to reassess, what do I want to do where I can still spend time with my daughter, right? And then I got an opportunity to work for a documentary film festival, because that was the place that I wanted to be initially. So I worked as a film coordinator for a film festival called Documentary Edge New Zealand, which is still running, by the way. I had a great old time there, but it was taking a lot of time away from my daughter. So reassess. And I said, I'm going to be a high school teacher. I like school holidays. It's quite a line. So I actually spent my time here, and it was quite meaningful. I met a lovely Tongan English teacher who I spent a lot of my time with at my practicum. Forgive me, I've forgotten her name, but during that time, I was in my practicum. I got an email from a friend of mine who I actually studied with in digital media, and she's like, "Hey, Anaua, what are you up to? There's actually a job that's just come up at Digital Arts Network." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm actually sitting here at my practicum. I'm about to have my supervisor lecturer come over to assess me being a teacher in front of high school students." And she's like, "This would be great for you and your daughter." So I was like, "Okay, what do I have to lose?" Apply for it, go to the interview. If I don't get it, hey, I can pull back. But actually, on that interview, I went down to Digital Art Network. At the time, our managing director, her name was Amanda Gata. And one thing, when I met her, I was dressed so nice, well presented. And here's this wahine toa, and just all I could remember was an Adidas jumper, some Air Forces, and she was the boss. And I'm like, "Oh, I like her. I like this place." And we had a corridor. And then I made that decision right at that moment after I left, and she gave me a call a few hours after the interview, and she offered the job. And at the time, very similar to Hulu's journey, it was a project coordinator role. So it wasn't a lot to do with all of the making that you see here, which I'll get to real soon. So that was the step in the door, being away for so long from work and even study too, while I was still trying to reassess where I want to be. And I've been there since, I think, counting almost 7 years this year. And during my journey there, from project coordinator, then I moved to project manager, which I loved. I had a great team of wonderful women and men who supported me. And one of the first accounts that I worked on was Tourism New Zealand. And that's a massive account at the time. We had a long-standing relationship with them, which was 20 years. And we basically were the builders, the makers, designers of the Tourism NZ website. And then from there, while obviously being in Digital Arts Network, we're obviously dealing with UX strategists and UX designers. And I took a liking to the UX strategists, and it's all about, talking to the people to understand, what makes them tick to use a digital sort of function or feature. And that's where I progressed into the role that I am now as a experienced strategist. That's me in a nutshell. And of course we have working with these awesome folks here. And this project here in particular.
Can I just say one thing?
Okay.
I just have to go. Wahanui. A moral of the story here for this woman, amazing. But one of the consistent themes that you'll hear is she got a phone call from a friend. I said when I went over to the UK, a friend of mine helped me to get into my first job. That network, so being bold and knowing what you want to do and saying what you want to do, and then having that network. So all of the people you're at school with, they'll go off and do different things. You might not go to the same tertiary education, or some might go straight to school, but straight to work. But keeping in contact and them knowing what you want to do, them knowing your passions, they'll hook you up and you'll hook your friends up. So I think, Anaaua's story of one of her mates saying, "You know what, Noah, I know you, and I think digital arts is the right place for you to work. Come on and have that corridor with Amanda." Changed her direction and got her working in this industry. So use that network, develop it while you're at school, nurture it while you're doing, your next phase of life, wherever that may take you, and know that your brothers and sisters will hook you up.
Well, to that one, Dave. So this project, it's a recent one that I have been lucky enough to be part of. So TBWA is one of our most recent clients. They came to Dave with a problem, actually. Prior to that, we actually helped build their website, which is the NZ at Menace. NZ at Menace, It's a yearly thing where they send a New Zealand artist to go out to the Venice Biennale. Yeah. So it's this prestigious exhibition that happens out in Venice. So at the time, TVNZ wasn't sure whether they were able to send their artists over to Venice, nor the team to go over and represent the exhibition that we have here. And this year's representative is Yuka Kihara. So she is of Samoan and Japanese descent. She is an amazing artist. So what we were given the problem was, how do we create something where with the potential that the artist and the TVNZ team may not go over, but create a way we can talk to her work with no one there in person. So they came to Dave and were like, could you do this? And Dave's like, yeah, of course we can. So he brought in the team, myself as the lead strategist in this project, alongside with Paul Hudson, who is one of our designers. And then we had our lovely PMs, Heidi Miller and Rachel. And of course, our team, our developers, which is David Calhoun and Heidi. So what we built essentially is, I think one of the key things is for us was something that our client had said to us was like, how do we bring Manaakitanga for a digital lens, which otherwise is obviously presented by a person or a group of people. So when we went into the drawing board, we met up. I actually recall Dave was just like, hey, there's a meeting that's happening with TVNZ. Are you interested? Okay, jump in. And I actually thought it was just the two of us and maybe one or two clients from TVNZ. It was like a whole 20, a lot of people in there. And I was just like, whoa, right into the deep end. Let's just do that. Anyway, and that's when we heard of Yuki's work and her story and how could we actually create a digital experience for the visitors out in Venice. So basically what we built is, everyone knows the QR code, right? So with that, they didn't have the money for us to build an awesome downloadable app. So we're working with time, but also with limited budget. And they only gave us a certain amount, which wasn't enough to cover all the resources.
It was so small that we became their partner.
Yeah, and that's when we stepped in and we're like, you know what, this is something we actually want to do and really passionate about, and we will step in and become your digital and invest into this project and become your digital partner, which is amazing for us. So essentially, in a nutshell, we built a digital experience, which we like to call the Virtual Explore. And there are two experiences. One is the in-gallery for the visitors out in Venice, and of course the at-home. And part of the at-home experience was, how can we bring this to folks like us in Ōtara, or even our neighboring, like in Samoa, in Tonga, that they can actually experience her work in a digital space at the same time as those who are actually out in Venice visiting the exhibition. So with the in-gallery experience, it's basically you develop a QR code, which you scan. I wish I actually bought the QR code, because then you guys can actually engage with it and play with what we had built. So essentially, we got that, and we have AI. So we trained this machine, our awesome David Calhoun, who is a developer, we trained this machine to recognize her artwork. So we did a lot of that testing in New Zealand, where we printed out photos of her work, put it on the wall, and for the machine to recognize that once they see an image like this, or Dave can talk more about the technology, it will pop up, or recognize it, and then it will pop up some data. And with that, once it pops up, you'll find information about certain pieces of the work. You could also play video footage in there and listen to a soundscape that was commissioned for this experience as well. And we also did this for the at-home experience. So it's a little bit different because you don't access it through the QR code, but we designed the at-home experience to mimic the exhibition space in a digital space, which was pretty cool. So this is actually live right now. It went live in April, and it's still going. It's been an amazing piece of work. Yeah,
Cool.
that's me.
All right, so are we running out of time?
Oh,
We probably could do some questions and answers. Questions?
Sweet, yeah. Just open up the floor for any questions now. Does anyone in this room have anything they want to ask our amazing Dan family here? Anything at all related to, could not even be related to this?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
So what is UX, what is UI, and what's the difference?
I'll leave that to the experts. No, there's lots of jargon, so I've tried hard not to use jargon, but UX, does anyone know what UX is? Anyone here? Anyone here that goes to school?
Yeah.
Anyone that hasn't studied it? So the U stands for user, and the X, it's real bad spelling, it stands for experience. So it should be UE, really. So X, they use it often. So when you work in the industry, there's people who talk about CX. What do you think C? Does anyone know what the C might stand for? Customer experience. Then in organizations, they talk about EX. E for employee experience. So X is used all over the place. And when you think about experience, it's not just what you see, it's what you feel. So if you think about employee experience, it's like when I arrive at my job for the first time, do I know where my seat is? Do I have my computer? Do I have access to all these things? So what does it feel like to be part of that organization? So that's the experience. UI is the U, still the same U. It's you, it's a user. The I stands for interface. It's intelligence when you're talking about me, but it's interface when you're talking about UI. No, so UI is user interface. So that's really getting down to the pixels. So our UI designers are the people that, say, you know what, the width of this orange band needs to be, 50 pixels. That's UI design. That's when you're getting into the nitty gritty of what's going to be on the screen. The experience is like this, like I'm going to hold up the camera and I'm going to look through the camera and it's going to project using augmented reality an image of Yuki's art on the wall over there. And by looking through my phone, I'll see it exactly the same size projected on there. And I'll be like, oh, now that's an experience. And so a UX designer and a UI designer can be the same human. So you can design the flow of how a person would move through this app and use all the different tools. The strategist would do that. The designer would do that. They'd work as a pairing to create the experience. So great question.
actually, can I just add to that?
You can add, because I don't know what I'm
With the UX as well, we do a lot of research, and that's actually another core part of that journey where we are talking to the customers. We're actually talking to the users who will be using this. For example, even Holly, a lot of the work that we do is when we come up with an idea or design, we have to test it. We're not going to build the thing, we're not going to design the thing and not actually show it to the actual people who will use it. So a lot of the process that we do is research before we get into the design phase. So we could be talking to the stakeholders, like we said, as a UX strategist, we're asking the questions, and then we go back with the team, and then they figure out what's our next steps. And then part of that would be, okay, we've identified a certain group of customers that will be using the product or the website. Let's talk to them. We want to understand their pain points in the journey. We want to understand also their moments of delight, to ensure that what we're designing potentially will be really usable for the customers and the users. And then we could go through iterations of testing. We might design the thing and then we get feedback. We're going to go back into the drawing board with the stakeholders, and then we might go, okay, that didn't work based on the feedback that we got from the customers, that didn't work. And then we might do another reiteration of design and go back to testing. So that's actually part of one of the main processes, or one of the cool processes. That's what I enjoy. I love just sitting in front of people and just dissecting their brain, really, and to understand how they think. Like, you know, we're watching also, we're observing when someone might be using a prototype that designers will be building, and I would sit there and I'll be like, how would you go about looking for, okay, countdown, for example, you're shopping, how would you go about looking for a bag of bluebird salt and vinegar chips? What would you do? And then we will be observing how you actually make your movements in the prototype, and then ask, why did you go this way? You know, we're trying to understand the journey through interviews and testing. Cool. Thank you.
Any other questions in the room?
Yes.
What does TBWA stand for?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. It's actually the name of the dudes. So the W stands for Wyvern, so what happens is, back in the old days, there was a group of, and this is like 1950s or something, back like early days of TV and stuff like that. They were like, I know, we could use TV to sell stuff to people. And so these creative minds got together and like, actually, do you know what the first thing was ever advertised on TV? The first product? No, it was before, no, it might have been McDonald's. It was toothpaste. Toothpaste was the first TV ad. But so essentially a whole bunch of dudes, generally there would be one that could draw, one that could tell a good story, one that understood people, and typically they were men, and typically they were white men. So I can tell you the TBWA is probably 4 white guys. That one of them could draw, one of them could sell, one of them could tell a good story, and one probably knows something about making TV ads. But that's what TBWA stands for. It's just some guys' names. Things have moved on. We're trying to get a few less white guys at the top. Our boss, Catherine, she's a woman, which is fantastic. But you know, all this industry just needs a good shot in the arm, which is why we're here to talk to you today. Yeah, that's it. Any other questions? We've got one in the back there. Oh, 4 minutes to go. We've got 4 minutes worth of questions, and I'm going to ask you if you don't ask me.
Sweet. Oh, yep, so we'll just wrap it there. Can you get a round of applause for me? Yeah, thank you for sharing about your fellows' careers, and it's real inspirational to hear how high you can go from such humble beginnings, especially beginnings that are relatable to a lot of us out these ways. Yeah, I hope you guys took away a lot from that. I know I took away a lot from that. I guess for the students, or at least the students who are still awake at least. 2 things I hope you took away from that. First one is network. Remember, it's about the people that help you get there to the other places. And these big jobs and stuff, or even in life as well, none of those one-man gang ones. Your friends are the ones that help you get further. And second one I hope you take away is to be bold. You could be the meanest drawer, the meanest singer, you could be the meanest smart fella in the icebreaker, but no one's ever gonna know and you tell them. And once they see that you can actually jam, or you don't even need to be the man, if you're keen to jam, then they'll be keen to help you and show you the way. So in saying that, I'd like to invite Yoka up to the front, and she's just going to present our guest with a little metaloffer from the Ōtara 4.0 team, and also speak to what they are.
Thank you, everybody, and well done. Huge kudos to our young people here today. Awesome that you guys stayed after school, and to everyone here, we'll just give you a hand. And for those at home that are watching, so we just have a small gift now for you all, and this is, so what we've got is some pendants that are created from the original parquet tiles that were in this house. So this beautiful whale, for those that don't know, belonged to Sir Edmund Hillary. It was built by Sir Edmund Hillary and relocated here into Ōtara. And so we're actually in Sir Edmund Hillary's old bedroom. So we're in the bedroom here, and so the whole theme of boldness, guys, boldness and courage is really resonant. It resonates with us. But also, I just wanted to give a special shout out to also our Pacific sisters here, because not only are there not much of our Māori and Pacifican tech, but there's barely any woman or our Moana Oceania woman. Okay, so maloha pito o atu. So guys, these have been created by the original Pake tiles from the house, and they've been laser printed and created by the students of the middle school of Sir Edmund Hillary Collegiate. And so that's their art teacher is Manu Ngā Kuru Saira. And so that's a special gift for you all. Thank you. Guys, this is the beginning. And so in this, we're hoping to do more, hoping to get your questions in the future. Those questions about acronyms is cool. So acronyms are the initials, like how you asked about TWBA. All those things, you guys already know what acronyms are, and those when those letters are put together. And so those are really cool, okay? And so stay afterwards, meet the speakers, have a talk, ask all your questions, and just a huge thank you to everyone, and thank you especially to the speakers.
Sweet, so if our speakers could just stay back afterwards for a photo, but we've come to the end of our program. Thank you everyone for coming through. The schools as well. Not yet. We're the local man. That's Jesus, man. So I'd like to invite the brother Talanoa to come up and close us in a look. And also thank you for TC. Who else? Sir Ed. Like Ōtara, random girl in mufti. And also friends and family who've come to support not just our speakers, but also the artistic window project. So here's Talanoa, and he's going to close us off in the book.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this afternoon that we've had to be edified by our speakers from the DAN team, and we're grateful for this time we have, and although it is, there's much that has been said, and the things that we shared today will seed our minds and come to an understanding as we continue to provide these opportunities for our Pasifika and Māori communities, and especially for our youth, who all that we do is for them, as they're the next generation of leaders that will lead us as parents, as grandparents into the future. You know that these things are not easy to understand at the best of times, but more importantly, that they can see themselves expressing themselves and making sure that they can be themselves in an expressive, safe, and flourishing way. We thank Thee for this day that we have. May we travel home safely to be with our loved ones and so forth. In the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yay! Bye-bye.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Leave.